The Lower Paleolithic era in the Korean Peninsula began roughly 500,000 years ago. 1, 2, 3 The earliest known Korean pottery dates to around 8000 BC, and the Neolithic period began after 6000 BC, followed by the Bronze Age by 800 BC, 4, 5, 6 and the Iron Age around 400 BC. According to the mythic account recounted in the Samguk Yusa, Gojoseon Old Joseon Kingdom was founded in northern Korea and Manchuria in 2333 BC 7, 8, 9. The Gija Joseon was purportedly founded in 12th century BC, and its existence and role have been controversial in the modern era. 10 The written historical record on Gojoseon can be found from early 7th century BC 11, 12 The Jin state was formed in southern Korea by the 3rd century BC. In the 2nd century BC, Gija Joseon was replaced by Wiman Joseon, which fell to the Han China near the end of the century. This resulted in the fall of Gojoseon, and led to succeeding warring states, the Proto Three Kingdoms period, that spanned the later Iron Age. From the 1st century, Goguryeo, Gija, and Silla grew to control the peninsula and Manchuria as the Three Kingdoms of Korea. 57th BC 668 AD, until unification by Silla in 676. In 698, Gija Joseon established Balhae in old territories of Goguryeo, 13, 14 which led to the North-South States period 698, 926. In the late 9th century, Silla was divided into the later Three Kingdoms 892, 936, which ended with unification by Wang Jian's Goryeo dynasty. Meanwhile, Balhae fell after invasions by the Khitan-Liao dynasty, and the refugees including the last crown prince emigrated to Goryeo, where the crown prince was warmly welcomed and included into the ruling family by Wang Jian, thus unifying the two successor states of Goguryeo. 15, 16 During the Goryeo period, laws were codified, a civil service system was introduced, and culture influenced by Buddhism flourished. However, Mongol invasions in the 13th century brought Goryeo under its influence until the mid-14th century 1718. In 1392, General Yi Seongjai established the Joseon dynasty. 1392-1910 after a coup that overthrew the Goryeo dynasty in 1388. King Sejong the Great 1418-1450 implemented numerous administrative, social, scientific, and economical reforms, established royal authority in the early years of the dynasty, and promulgated Hangul, the Korean alphabet. After enjoying a period of peace for nearly 2 centuries, the Joseon dynasty faced foreign invasions and internal fractional strifes, beginning in 1592 until 1637. Henceforth, Joseon gradually became more and more isolationist and stagnant. By the mid-19th century, with the country unwilling to modernize, and encroachment of European powers, Joseon Korea was forced to sign unequal treaties with foreign powers. After the assassination of Empress Myeongseong in 1895, Donghak rebellions of 1894 to 1895, and Gabo reforms of 1894 to 1896, the Korean Empire 1897. 1910 came into existence, and a brief but rapid period of social reform and modernization occurred. However, in 1905, the Korean Empire signed the Protectorate Treaty, and in 1910 Japan annexed the Korean Empire, though it was confirmed that all treaties or agreements concluded between the Empire of Japan and the Empire of Korea on or before August 22, 1910 were already null and void. 19. Korean resistance was manifested in the widespread non-violent March 1 movement of 1919. Thereafter the resistance movements, coordinated by the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea in exile, were largely active in neighboring Manchuria, China, and Siberia. Figures from these exile organizations would become important in post-WWII Korea. After the end of WWII in 1945, the Allies divided the country into a northern area, protected by the Soviets, and a southern area protected primarily by the United States. In 1948, when the powers failed to agree on the formation of a single government, this partition became the modern states of North and South Korea. The peninsula was divided at the 38th parallel. The Republic of Korea was created in the south, with the backing of the US and Western Europe, and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north, with the backing of the Soviets and the Communist People's Republic of China. The new premier of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, launched the Korean War in 1950 in an attempt to reunify the country under communist rule. After immense material and human destruction, the conflict ended with a ceasefire in 1953. The two nations officially remain at war because a peace treaty was never signed. Both states were accepted into the United Nations in 1991. While both countries were essentially under military rule after the war, South Korea eventually liberalized. Since 1987 it has had a competitive electoral system. The South Korean economy has prospered, and the country is now considered to be fully developed, with a similar per capita economic standing to Western Europe, Japan, and the United States. North Korea has maintained a militarized dictatorship rule, with a cult of personality constructed around the Kim family. Economically, North Korea has remained heavily dependent on foreign aid. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union, that aid fell precipitously. The country's economic situation has been quite marginal since,